What was your best birthday experience? My mom and dad divorced very early in my life, well before I was 2 years old. After their divorce, my mom did the typical single mother thing and worked crazy long hours to make ends meet. Zero financial support from her ex-husband, my dad. As a kid, while I was content, I was pretty lonely growing up. After several years of living like this, my mom met this single guy with 2 kids my age. Literally we were all born the same year, fell in love and got married. They didn't do a fancy church wedding, they went down to the courthouse and got a marriage license and then came straight home. We packed up the truck that afternoon and headed to the beach for a 3-day camping trip. The day they got married was my 6th birthday. I was just thrilled to have a dad and a brother and a sister. What blew me away that evening was a surprise birthday cake, party, and presents at the beach next to a campfire on the shores of Lake Superior. That birthday, those feelings, those smells, and images will probably be with me the rest of my life. That guy my mom married would later go on and adopt me. Best day ever. My father was dying of a brain tumor. He was ambulatory, but just barely. He asked me if I'd like to have a birthday lunch with him. We drove to a really lovely restaurant he had chosen and sat fairly close to the door because it was such a struggle for him. After we ordered, he began to cry, saying he wanted to do so much more for me. I told him I loved the place. It was next to a lake. Great menu, but that was secondary. I told him that being with him was the best birthday gift I could ever hope for, and the best I ever had. We talked about all the wonderful things in life, and I got him laughing about some of the crazy things he had done as a young boy. It was the best birthday ever. Nothing will ever compare. It was so good to see him happy. My 6th birthday. My dad was a software engineer working in the UK at the time. His company acquired another company and sent him there under the guise of it being a temporary assignment, but they kept extending it much to his displeasure. My parents had just divorced and my mom was working long hours to keep up with bills, so the timing was bad and things were generally pretty rough. My birthday weekend fell in the middle of my dad's stint in the UK. Without telling his boss, he flew back to spend the weekend with me. We're from California, so it was a 10-hour flight. This also happened to be 4th of July weekend, so he took me, my sister, and my grandparents to the family cabin deep in wine country to celebrate. Friday, we had pizza and cake and I opened presents, the marquee gift being a gigantic super soaker that I'd be pining for months. Saturday, I got to run around, play catch with my dad, and shoot my sister with the super soaker. Sunday we went swimming in a nearby creek and later watched the fireworks a neighbor sent off. I just remember it being the pinnacle of carefree childhood fun. My dad risked his job and traveled thousands of miles to make it happen, which I'll never forget. My 18th birthday. I thought everyone had forgotten, so I was trying to make plans with any of my friends. They all said sorry, busy, maybe tomorrow. I was really frustrated. So I went to a friend's house, the only one available, and then my mom called me saying she was feeling sick and all. I was like, okay, that's it. This is the worst day of my life. My friend's mom drove me home to see what was happening to my mom. I got there, and there were all of my friends, my parents, my family, and a real size electric guitar cake. Best night ever. On my 19th birthday, a friend of mine dropped everything and took me on a short road trip to see a friend who had moved 4 hours away. We met her about halfway and had a very nice lunch that ended with a strawberry cheesecake, which is my favorite thing ever. 18th birthday. Had a home basketball game, and every time I went to get out of the shower like 3 people would throw soap at me. It was funny at first, but after like the 5th time it was kind of annoying. Finally me and my friend were the last to leave the locker room. He offered me a ride home, and when we walked into my house it was just my parents in the kitchen. Then like 35 people jumped out and surprised me. It was amazing, and I was actually very surprised. Afterwards, they told me they kept throwing soap at me so my girlfriend could finish getting everything ready. It was a blast. This year was my 21st, and it didn't show up on Facebook for some reason, so pretty much everyone forgot. Only the real ones remembered who wished me happy birthday in person and gave me a present. So it was actually kind of nice to only have my real close friends and family celebrate my birthday with me. So I've always had a deep manly affection for penguins. My local aquarium put in a penguin encounter thing you could pay for X dollars for like 45 minutes with the penguins, and the first day happened to be my birthday. So my mom paid for us to go. We show up and there are like 60 people there. No one is 100% sure how things are supposed to work. And the two teenage workers ask if we were there for the tour. We were like, heck no, we wanna play with the penguins. So it was just my mom and me with 3 penguins for 45 minutes. It was fun. Even when the keeper turned their back, I gave the penguin a hug. When would I have another opportunity? Penguins, as it turns out, do not enjoy hugs. Well, it turned out they messed everything up. The package you pay for was penguin encounter and backstage tour. Turns out they stuff like 60 people in there and you have to share your penguins, but because of error we got them all to ourselves. I was participating in a study abroad program in Japan for my 22nd birthday, and all of the friends I had made that year got together and came out for a special surprise dinner, rented out the room of a restaurant, and we all got to hang out, drink, and dance together. Then the horde of us biked across town to go to a karaoke bar, and it was the best birthday ever. When I was a kid I had a tiny 9-inch television in my room that I had my Super Nintendo hooked up to. On my 12th birthday I was having a sleepover with a bunch of friends, so my dad let me hook up the SNES to our 32 inches TV downstairs. I walked in from school to find my dad playing Super Mario World on the TV, and it was fucking glorious. Mario looked life-size compared to before, and the colors were amazing. I was blown away. I still very vividly remember watching him play in the forest level with the angry caterpillars. Then later that night my friends and I stayed up all night eating pizza and having Street Fighter 2 tournaments. I can't imagine any birthday being able to match that now. This past March I turned 60. This has been the best birthday so far because I was so grateful to actually have a birthday to celebrate. I had been battling stage 3 cancer for 1-2 years prior. My husband and I went to the Miraval Wellness Resort in Tucson, and it was a fabulously healing experience. My 25th. Spent the day alone in another state, buried in a university's archives doing research. I was in grad school, but I treated myself to a manicure and got my nails done. When I came home a few days later some friends took me out for wings and drinks, and when they took me back to my apt a whole bunch of other friends and some family were inside for a surprise party. That was also the summer I met my future husband. 23rd birthday, I was on The Price is Right. I won a trip to Vegas. I took the money instead because the trip to Vegas was actually just like $1,000 in Travelocity dollars, which is nothing, especially in Vegas of all places. The check they sent me was for like $800. I bought a laptop with it. The whole crowd sung me happy birthday as I walked off stage. Decent time but not great, and it would have been way better if they weren't cheap as fuck. Also I didn't get to keep the thing I bid on to get on stage, which was this awesome slot machine that I would have kept forever, which was valued at like $500. My dad had a large garden in his backyard and I must have been about 7 or 8. I asked him if we could do a corn maze someday. He said maybe. I didn't really pay much attention to what he did in the garden usually, but come the next year, 90% of it was sprouting giant, tightly packed corn stalks. I'd mostly forgotten my wish by then, being a kid who was busy building lightsabers with PVC pipe those days. The day of my birthday and party, I came home from school to see a big ass corn maze and my mom had turned our entire house into a haunted house. The school was small enough that everyone rode the same bus and everyone got off at my place, so we got to work. Best birthday ever. Looking back, that was right around the time my dad got a new job. Every birthday prior to that had been very small with minimal presents and decoration. Because of how much fun us kids had that day, though, every birthday after was small and undecorated as well lol. It was my 17th birthday. No one really gives me gifts and all, which I don't mind. But every day, I would love to spend my money on all of my friends and I don't care if I get broke or what, as long as I see them happy, I'm happy. But that day was different. It was just a normal day at school. No one really greeted me except for my friends. It was lunch when my friend playfully grabbed my bag and took it with him in the CR. It took him a few minutes before he got out, and I got really suspicious, so I immediately checked my bag after retrieving it from him. When I opened it, there was a small white box inside. I almost cried right then and there. He gave me a wooden music box, which is in the tune of Hedwig's theme. He saved 3 months of allowance to it. I didn't know what to say or what to do, because I was too flattered by the fact that someone actually took the effort to save up and give me a gift on my day. I was so happy, but it doesn't end there. Later that day, all of my friends went home except for him. We were talking as usual when all of a sudden he started fidgeting, which he rarely does unless he's nervous or something's bothering him. And guess what? As I said, this is really cliche. He confessed to me. I don't want to dig in more details, but yay, he confessed. We both confessed. We aren't official, but we are dating for 5 months now. He helped me with my depression and my cutting. I'm clean for almost 2 months now because of him. I guess that would be the best birthday ever.